Okay, imagine waking up tomorrow and the oceans are gone. All of them empty. Bone dry. The Pacific, just a massive pit. The Atlantic, a giant crack splitting continents. The Indian Ocean, a desert the size of a planet. So what happens to Earth if we pulled the plug and drained every drop? Let's dive in. First off, where would all that water go? Well, Earth's oceans hold about 1.3 billion cubic kilometers of water. That's enough to cover the entire planet in a blanket almost 3 kilometers deep. If you tried to dump it somewhere else, like into space, you'd need a hose bigger than the moon and pumping power that makes Niagara Falls look like a dripping faucet. But let's just pretend you somehow got rid of it. Maybe a giant cosmic straw. Maybe aliens with a really big mop. Either way, Earth is now bone-dry. At first, you'd notice something horrifying. The air gets heavier. Oceans normally absorb a huge chunk of carbon dioxide and release oxygen. Without them, greenhouse gases spike. The air turns hotter, and the climate goes absolutely wild. And speaking of heat gas, what regulates Earth's temperature? Yep, the oceans. They're like the planet's AC system, soaking up heat and spreading it around with currents. Without that, summers would scorch, winters would freeze, and weather patterns would go berserk. Think deserts in places that were once lush, and snowstorms where you never saw snow before. Now, let's talk geography. If the oceans vanish, you suddenly get to see the true shape of Earth's surface. Forget Google Earth. This is like hitting hard mode. The Atlantic Ocean becomes a trench with mountains and ridges taller than the Rockies because the mid-ocean ridge runs right down its center. The Pacific turns into a gigantic bowl with scars from old tectonic collisions. And here's the crazy part. You'd actually be able to walk from continent to continent. North America and Asia, linked across the Bering Strait? No problem. Africa and Europe, already touching. But now you could hike across the entire Mediterranean basin. Imagine road tripping from New York to Paris with a stop at the bottom of the Atlantic. But don't pack your hiking boots just yet. Without oceans, the planet's water cycle collapses. No more evaporation from the sea. No rainstorms feeding rivers. No lakes getting refilled. Within years, most freshwater sources would dry up. The Amazon gone. The Nile just dust. Even underground aquifers would eventually shrink because they depend on rainfall. Basically, without oceans, you'd have Earth's biggest drought. Plants would die, animals would starve, and humans, well, we're about 60% water ourselves. So good luck. And here's a fun twist. Gravity doesn't like missing water. Oceans press down on Earth's crust, remove them, and the crust slowly rebounds upward. Entire coastlines would bulge and shift over thousands of years. Places like Scandinavia are still rising today, just from the last ice age. Now imagine that effect on every single shoreline. The planet's shape would literally warp, but the scariest part comes from space. Oceans act like a shield, moderating Earth's climate and storing heat. Without them, Earth's atmosphere would become unstable and more vulnerable. Stronger storms, harsher winds, crazier temperature swings. The whole planet would feel more like Mars, dry, dusty, and deadly. In fact, without oceans, Earth might not stay Earth for long. The blue planet, more like the brown, cracked rock planet. Life as we know it would collapse. So, what's the final takeaway? If you drain the oceans, you don't just lose a pretty view. You lose the climate system, the water cycle, and basically all of life. Oceans aren't just giant puddles. They're the beating heart of the planet. So next time you look at the sea, remember, it's not just water. It's survival. And hey, if you enjoyed sinking into this idea, drop a like. Share it with a friend who loves weird science questions, and hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more what if rabbit holes to dive into, no snorkel required.